How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video, and today we're doing our Game Week 38 rendition of our new series called Pep Roulette. It's basically where we kind of check out the different Man City assets, see who plays, and kind of make guesswork of who Pep is going to start in the next game week. The reason we did Game Week 37 plus yesterday was mainly because I thought of the idea over the weekend, and Man City, their team would have already been locked in. You would have had your players already locked in for 37. So I thought I'd do it in preparation for this game week coming up in Game Week 38. So we're going to do it this week for 38. So this is where we literally have all guesses. We've seen who's playing, and we can kind of go from there. We also might get early team news, so this is just a prediction as to what I think Pep will do based on my assumptions. This is not going to be perfect team news or anything like that. Hopefully that is leaked for those that are looking for Man City assets, potentially to transfer them out. And based on some of the things that he did in this game week 37, I think there's going to be a bit of optimism for some players that may have been a bit disappointed with some of the changes that he did make, some of the players he did start, some of the players he didn't start. So let's just kind of check it all out, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. So let's first go over how Manchester City did in Game Week 37. So you can see just above me, we have the score of the outcome of the game. In Game Week 37, they won 4-0 away to Watford. And this is the lineup, how we predicted it on my left-hand side. That would be, got to get my directions correct here, but this is the lineup that I predicted, and this is how many points and minutes each player was allocated. The official starting lineup was Ederson in goal, with Garcia and Laporte as center backs. Cancelo actually played left back, as well as Walker played right back. They had a midfield of three of De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, and the CDM was Rodri. And then their front three was Raheem Sterling out on the left-hand side, with Foden out on the right-hand side, and Gabriel Jesus through the middle, which kind of surprised me. I kind of expected Foden to play more of like the David Silva type role, but he was playing mostly out on the wing and kind of coming inside as almost like a right or left forward, and Sterling kind of played that way too. So it was interesting to kind of see that kind of transform. So mostly the attackers we did get right, barring one, and some of the defenders, didn't play that we chose in the lineup. However, that's kind of really not what we're interested in. I did put obviously the minutes in there, and Ederson is going to be an easy pick, 6 points, getting a clean sheet in the game, 90 minutes, no problem. Otamendi didn't play, so I probably expect him to start next game week. Stones only came on for a few minutes, nothing really too crazy there. Wanted to take Laporte off. I don't expect Laporte to start, by the way, in the Norwich game. If you're looking to bring him in, you should be looking at 3 City attackers that are all going to start, and hopefully the early team news will show that. Zinchenko was another surprising one alongside Riyad Mahrez, who we'll get to in a second. I kind of thought that he would start, and this kind of is really weird. Maybe he's fallen out of favor. Cancelo played at left back and did really well, almost better than Walker did at right back. Cancelo didn't get the assist like Walker did. However, I thought he played exceptionally well, was taking on people, and kind of shows that his price tag is definitely worth it if he sees the playing time. I think that the likes of Mendy might be in place of in our predicted lineup going into the next game, and I think Walker would definitely start, having Cancelo played 90 minutes, and he probably doesn't want, maybe brings him on, if Walker's tiring in the Norwich game and for the last like 20 or 30 minutes, but I don't think Cancelo will start the next game. But he did play quite well when he played in this game week, getting the full 90 minutes, getting himself a clean sheet, and was kind of unlucky to not get any additional returns like Walker did. Into the midfield, Fernandinho did not play at all, so I expect him to play next game week. Bernardo Silva played the full 90 minutes. Now that's going to be key. We're going to talk about that later. He didn't get any returns, though, just a clean sheet point and the past 60 minutes, 2 points. De Bruyne got himself an assist on the goal for Laporte on their 4th goal. Riyad Mahrez was the very surprising one, obviously only getting 26 minutes. I was almost certain that he would start. We'll talk a little bit more about him later. Jesus, unfortunate to not really get too much service, and then when he finally got a cross in extra time in the second half, he was offside, unfortunately, only getting 2 points there. And then Phil Foden was played quite well, got a very fortunate goal. He potentially had a couple other chances, half chances. I wouldn't say they were great, but he was very fortunate to get his goal, obviously off a deflected Raheem Sterling shot for the 3rd. And then Raheem Sterling started, as we can see, as our key substitutes. He started from the beginning, got 63 minutes, got himself 2 goals and an assist, although one of his goals came from a saved penalty. And overall, apart from his like returns in a sense, he didn't really provide like key passes from what I saw, and was kind of just Mr. Right place at the right time. His first goal was a fantastic finish. Nothing, can't take anything away from him. And City was kind of going down that rabbit hole of all the possession for possession's sake. And I think that Sterling opened up the scoring in a very surprising manner to Watford. It only took 1 second for them to like slightly switch off or not really pay attention to him, just kind of funneling his way into a small little space. Ball pops up. Was fortunate with the pass the way it came in. Was able to control it nicely and hit it on the volley straight into the top corner. And David Silva didn't play any minutes in this game either. That was mostly expected. We basically predicted that, and I definitely believe he's going to play in game week 38 plus going into the last game week. And one thing to also note is that the Man City versus Norwich game is the only game on Sunday that has no effect on positions in the table, which is kind of crucial. And I think it's just going to be more of a Man City training session, which is very good for FPL assets because it means they're probably going to blow Norwich out of the water and give them one last hoorah, kind of straight out of the Premier League. Unfortunately for them, didn't perform up to expectations, but I think this is where FPL managers are probably drooling and chomping at the bit to kind of get these players in from Man City and get the maximum amount of points that you can get. So the first player that I want to highlight here is none other than Raheem Sterling. Game week 35, double-digit score with a hat-trick. Game week 36, came off for 45 minutes, didn't really do too much. City kind of looked a bit out of it, not playing De Bruyne in that game. Arsenal FA Cup game was a bit unfortunate for them. They had a lot of possession, a lot of half chances. Raheem Sterling himself could have probably scored. And then in this game, getting himself 2 goals and an assist. Obviously, one of them was a penalty that was saved, but he still ended up tapping in anyway. So Raheem Sterling is the man in form, getting rested towards the end of the game, only playing 63 minutes. Could have potentially had a hat trick, with his shot being saved and then dropping the Foden for the 3rd goal. Bit unfortunate for him there, but with these double-digit scores, I can't see any reason why Sterling wouldn't play in the final game of the season versus Norwich. Early team news will potentially confirm that, but he is going to be on the same side as David Silva, playing off the left wing, whereas David Silva plays in the left half space, and he's going to basically hug the touchline for David Silva to get inside and do what he needs to do, and I think they're going to basically kind of make it David Silva's game, and I think Sterling is the best player to play out on the left wing to allow David Silva to do what he wants to do, and I would be very surprised if he does not start in the final game of the season against Norwich. The next key player on our list that we have here is Kevin De Bruyne. He also played 90 minutes, getting an assist on the last goal that was scored by Aymeric Laporte. He looked pretty good. His delivery was definitely off today, and by his standards was probably a poor game. Still getting a return, kind of similar how Bruno Fernandes is kind of acting in that way for United, where they may play poorly, but overall they, get some type of FPL return, which is good for us. Not necessarily good for them, but in essence, he's definitely going to be playing in the final game. I don't see any reason why he doesn't. He may have his minutes managed to give David Silva maybe a bit more kind of freedom to go forward, but I can easily see a midfield with him and David Silva and potentially Fernandinho at CDM, maybe Fernandinho at center back and Gundogan in kind of the fake CDM role, and kind of just let them do what they need to do. It's David Silva's potential last home game, like we mentioned previously. There is an offer on the table for him, but I think Kevin De Bruyne will definitely start in that game or see significant minutes. I don't think there's any reason to drop him. He's the main reason why City are so good in the first place, him and Aguero for the most part, and I don't see him being dropped in the Norwich game this coming game week. Now, another player who played 90 minutes was Gabriel Jesus. Like we mentioned before, he only had one real chance and he was offside for it anyway. He could have got lucky with a shot. I believe it was from either Phil Foden or Raheem Sterling cutting in off the left, and it deflected off of him and Foster to make a ridiculous save in the first half. But otherwise than that, Gabriel Jesus was quite quiet, mainly due to the fact that the deliveries into the box were quite poor, especially from De Bruyne's side, which we mentioned. I definitely think Jesus is going to start in the Norwich game. There is a slight risk of rotation, but I'm almost convinced that he will play, mainly because he's played pretty much every game up until now since Aguero's been out. He's had the one game where they had the false 9 and he came on. Yes, his minutes might be managed and he might only play 53 minutes, but he's still going to do damage in that time. He was unfortunate with the deliveries that were being put into the box, like we said. Didn't really get much service, and if you looked at the heat maps and kind of his average position, he was playing deeper, especially in the first half, than De Bruyne was for most part of it. And that was mainly due to him trying to link up the play and De Bruyne kind of facilitating that as well. I do think he is a potential risk. I wouldn't say too much. I would say there's an 85% chance, kind of just estimation, onto him playing or not playing. And I think that he's going to be one of these guys that's just going to... He kind of has to play, because when City do play a false 9, it's kind of bad. And it just doesn't really work out too much. One thing I can see him doing is if they go up 3-4 or 5-0 against Norwich in the first 45 to 50 minutes, I can see him getting taken off. Raheem Sterling moved towards into the false 9, and they bring on the likes of Bernardo Silva. They put him out on the left wing, or they bring on Foden, put him out on the left wing. Something of that nature will probably happen, because I don't expect him to play 90 minutes 3 games in a row, which he hasn't done in, since lockdown has basically ended and the Premier League has restarted. And lastly, we're mainly going to talk about Riyad Mahrez, but I'm also going to mention the other players that we're kind of interested in as well. Riyad Mahrez, I was 99.9% sure that he was one of the main guys that was going to be in the team starting versus Watford in this game week. Unfortunately, he didn't play for those that owned him. I don't own him personally. I have Sterling, De Bruyne, and Foden. He obviously only got 26 minutes, which isn't what you want from Mahrez. You want to be getting, full value out of him, at least 60 minutes. Even 55 is probably good enough for him to do damage. And he shows that when he does start. In the Brighton away game, as you can see below, 6 points in a 90-minute game that he played, but in his 2 substitute appearances in 36 and 37, just the 1 point to show in both occasions for the limited minutes that he had. I expect him to play and start versus Norwich at home, and I expect him to do quite well. As from open play, Riyad Mahrez, Raheem Sterling, and Gabriel Jesus are the 3 major threats. Kevin De Bruyne is kind of more the assister, and now that De Bruyne gave away a penalty to Raheem Sterling, even though he missed it and then scored, we're still not sure if De Bruyne is on penalties as well, and I think Mahrez is a much better suit out on the right-hand side than the likes of Phil Foden or Bernardo Silva, mainly because he has that knack of cutting inside and being super dangerous and super threatening, which allows for the likes of Walker to bomb around the outside or Cancelo to go around the outside. But he also still has a really good cross on his weak foot as well, and can kind of just snake his way into the box and get into very dangerous positions to slide one-touch finishes across the box for other players. For Bernardo Silva, he played the full 90 minutes. I don't expect him to play at all. He didn't really do a whole lot. Had maybe a couple half chances here and there, but not too much there. David Silva, I expect him to start as well. He's gonna be playing on the other side of the midfield with Kevin De Bruyne. And then lastly, Phil Foden getting the full game here. Played quite well, but I think he'll drop to the bench almost certainly, because Foden's kind of pattern has been one of those where he plays, then he's benched, he plays, then he's benched, getting minutes when he is benched as well. But I definitely think Mahrez is one of the players to definitely highlight for this week, and I'm pretty sure the early team news will show that he's definitely going to be in it on the right-hand side of City's front 3. So here's my predicted lineup for game week 38 plus for Manchester City. I think Ederson will be in goal. There's no reason to change him out. Bravo, as far as we know, is still injured, and I don't think they're going to bring in any backup goalkeepers. Plus, Ederson is fundamental to how Manchester City play. In defense, I go with Walker at right back and Mendy at left back. The main reason I've gone with Walker over the likes of Cancelo is because of the fact that Walker came off and was rested, and he's just been insane since Cancelo's come in. It's been super good defensively, still got that rapid pace, and he was quite good in getting the assist in their 4-0 win over Watford. I think Mendy will come in at left back because Zinchenko just didn't really impress too much as far as I saw, and he's just delivery and just positioning when he was trying to make overlapping runs. He got caught offside once. Just wasn't great. And I think Mendy getting a full rest is probably, inclination that he will come in and play at left back. In terms of the center backs, Fernandinho and Otamendi did not feature, so I expect them to come in at center back. There's one world where I can see where Fernandinho is played in center defensive midfield alongside Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva to kind of go with the holy trinity that City have gone with in previous seasons, and kind of that nostalgia factor of, hey, David Silva, this was our best midfield. We're going to go with it on your final game. I could definitely see that happening, and then you'll probably see either the likes of Laporte or Stones come in there. But I think Fernandinho will go in at center back, mainly because those were the two players that did not feature at all in terms of defensive side of things in the game versus Watford. And obviously Fernandinho is a midfielder, so that kind of isn't great for him because he's not going to potentially be scoring because he's playing as a center back, although he might get a headed chance, but I don't think anyone's going to be bringing him in as a asset. Into the midfield, I think I'm going to have Gundogan in there. And 5.1 midfielder could be an option, but doesn't really get too forward. He's going to be more of the kind of CDM role. He's going to be the facilitator, kind of like how Rodri played today, with David Silva and De Bruyne pulling the strings in midfield as well. I expect both of these two to start. They have a great understanding of where to be and where to position themselves. And Gundogan is going to be the one that kind of drops in maybe when Fernandinho starts to press the ball forward. Maybe Otamendi makes a surging run, and Gundogan can kind of just float around and kind of protect the back four in how he wants to, and let David Silva and De Bruyne do what they need to do and facilitate the front three, which is going to be City, in my opinion's best front three, with Mahrez out on the right, Jesus through the middle, and Sterling out on the left. I would expect the likes of Jesus' minutes to be managed, which is why we have key substitutes in Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden mentioned below. I think one of those two will come on for Jesus. You'll see Sterling go to the false nine role, or maybe De Bruyne goes in there and they bring on Foden in replace of Sterling, and then Foden goes into where De Bruyne is playing. De Bruyne plays the false nine. There's a bunch of different ways that they can kind of, fish it. Pep kind of has a, various different ways that he can, work his team, and when they have a massive lead, you could put Ederson up front. It probably wouldn't really matter too much, and they'll still be able to retain the ball and do what City do. And Pep's kind of unpredictable in that way, which is why I think that his lineups are so difficult to, kind of guess. But I think that this one's more or less straightforward. The defense I'm kind of half and half on, but the midfield and forwards I'm pretty sure on this week. De Bruyne, David Silva, Mahrez, Jesus, and Sterling will probably start, with Bernardo Silva getting 90 minutes in the previous game, as well as Phil Foden dropping to the bench for the fixture versus Norwich. And that's going to do it for this week of Pep Roulette. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you're enjoying this series. I certainly am. I think it's pretty fun to kind of predict what as you can see, the crazy wheel might land on this week, where the darts are going to fly into the board and who's going to get selected for the lineup. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. We have a bunch of different things going on this week. We're going to have a triple captaincy video, a free hit video, which I know a lot of people still have that chip remaining. Also, we're going to be doing a preview on Friday, a deadline stream on Sunday. We have our buy, hold, sell video going to be on Saturday. A bunch of different content, a bunch of different videos coming out before the end of the season. And then we're going to be doing an end of season review. So make sure to stick around and subscribe for those. And turn your notification bell on so that you know when they go up and are live on our YouTube channel. Also, as you can see below, we do have Twitter and Twitch, PilotFlame226 on those platforms. Make sure to follow us over there. Twitch is where we do our game week discussions, our preview, and where we'll be doing our deadline stream. Our preview stream is going to be on Friday. That's going to be at 7 p.m. EST start time. And then we're also going to be doing our deadline stream 2 hours before the deadline. I believe it's 11 a.m. EST. Don't quote me on that. Is the deadline, which means we'll be up at 9 a.m. EST. But we'll be 2 hours of whatever time zone you're in, because I'm bad at time math, if we've seen on Twitter. I'll be 2 hours ahead, or 2 hours, before the deadline starts for Game Week 38+. So that's going to do it. Hope you all enjoyed it. And until the next video, take care.